Okay, those that are calling for anyone to come and intervene in Nigeria, we are waiting for the person that will come and intervene. They will go back in body bags. Okay. Because nobody will come to Nigeria and tell us how to run our country. We've got that independence, and we are trying to run our country as decently as possible. And we know the history of those countries that are trying to teach us these things. We have read their history. We also know at their own stages of development, they went through these challenges. So please, let's work together. Let's advise one another, but don't lecture us.
Now, what you heard is the voice of Malam Nasir El-Rufai, former minister of the FCT, Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and former immediate past governor of Kaduna State, when he warned international elections observers in 2019 that they will go back in body bags if they intervene in Nigerian elections. Well, good evening and welcome. And thanks for joining us on Political Lens this evening. I am Chukwuma Okoro. Now, on the show today, we will make 2027, we will make the country ungovernable if election is rigged. Nigerians are asking, is this what the North is up to again? Following comments made by Hakeem Baba-Ahmed, where he said that if 2027 elections are rigged, that there will be chaos in the country. Well, we are joined in the studio here in Lagos, where we are broadcasting from, by Barrister Asim Adams. He's a legal practitioner, rights activist, and spokesperson of Chief Beatrice Itubo / Peter Obi campaign organization of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections in Rivers State. Well, good evening, Barrister Adams, and thanks for being part of this show. Good evening to you. It's always engaging to have you.
It's always a pleasure being here.
Appreciate your presence.
I appreciate your invitation.
Now, let's kick into it. Out of political passion, some northern leaders a few years ago made their threats against the peace of the nation in the event President Goodluck Jonathan made a success of his election bid. That was in 2015. Now, years down the line, and the country, 2 years after that comment, and the country was practically in a state of war. The question as to whether the Jingois had their way was an issue. The arrogance of Shekau and his group is un-Islamic. Which president, if not Goodluck, will accept somebody to tell him to become a Muslim or resign? Well, it was years ago that General Buhari made similar comments about the famous baboon and blood threat against election riggers. Receiving partisans of his Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, from Niger State in his Kaduna residence on a courtesy call, Buhari had said, God willing, by 2015, something will happen. They either conduct a free and fair election or they go a very disgraceful way. If what happened in 2021, alleged rigging, should happen again in 2015, by the grace of God, the dog and the baboon will all be soaked in blood. Now, that was President Muhammad Buhari speaking as the presidential candidate of the CPC ahead of the 2015 general election, where he made a threat that dogs and baboons would be soaked in blood if the election was rigged. Now, Buhari spoke in Hausa, which was supposedly giving dire threats against election riggers, but it was not difficult for his political enemies to take it up as one other indication of the violent streak on the part of the former head of state. While Buhari's assertions were essentially directed against election riggers, declarations by some other northern irredentists have, however, or were more forceful. None perhaps was vindictive as that of Alhaji Lawal Kaita, who said back in 2011 that Nigeria will be made ungovernable should President Goodluck Jonathan be elected into Aso Rock. And in 2019, from the footage that we just listened to, Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasir El-Rufai said that international election observers will go back in body bags if they intervened in Nigeria's election. In all of this, nobody's career was damaged. Nobody was arrested. None prosecuted. No culprit was brought to book. And as we coast to 2027, such threats are beginning to resurface, with Hakeem Baba-Ahmed saying that there will be chaos in the country if the election is rigged. And according to him, voices are being raised regarding the integrity of the 2027 elections. Our leaders and INEC should listen. Anything short of the most transparent elections will produce neither winners nor losers. Rigging will risk plunging the country into worse crisis. No one wants that, he wrote in his ex-handle. Now, his warning comes amid a wave of discussions about proposed electoral reforms, including a controversial plan by the House of Representatives to hold all 5 major elections, presidential, National Assembly, gubernatorial, and state assembly elections on a single day. What does this portend for Nigeria, and what type of political culture are we building? Once again, welcome to Political Lens, Barrister Adams.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's kick into it. Let's examine the legal implications, of these threats. Is it a violation of the laws of the land when people make such threats and follow them up with actions? You recall that when Babangida made a statement in 2011, and somehow after the elections, people were slaughtered in parts of the north. He wasn't brought to book. Nobody was arrested. Nobody's career was damaged. Malam Issa Kaita made similar comments that we will make this country ungovernable for Jonathan, and it happened. Everybody knows what went down with the arrest of the kidnap of the Chibok girls, the role played by certain elements who are also in government at this moment that we are speaking, that we are holding this discussion. And in 2019, Nasiru El-Rufai said, look, election observers, international election observers, be very careful, otherwise you go back in body bags. That was a direct threat. If you put all of these things together, and we have Hakeem Baba-Ahmed, who resigned as political advisor to President Bola Tinubu, said, look, if by 2027 elections are rigged, there will be a problem in this country. Barrister, what are the legal implications of these comments? Are they actionable? Can somebody go to court? Why is it that intelligence communities are not active when such threats are made? Not just made, but carried out.
Thank you very much. It tells you, or it goes to show the kind of country that we operate and the kind of democracy, so-called, that we say we are doing in Nigeria here. Now, let me tell you very pungently and very quickly that, first of all, if these particular statements or maybe outbursts, if you do a trajectory of what has been going on there and those who made these statements, you find out that they are from a certain part of the country.
Okay.
They are from a certain part of the country in the sense that I do not even want to mention the part of the country they come from, but those who are periscoping, these issues, we know the part of the country they are from. The question we should ask ourselves, first of all, is it that why do these outbursts always come from, politicians or leaders, from that part of the country?
Okay.
Why is it so? Is it because they are so power hungry? Is it because it is only when it goes their way that they will say election was peaceful, free and fair? Is it because they have a stake, in the electoral process of Nigeria as a democratic nation? Now, we have to periscope this, number one. Let me tell you this, that if you look at some time ago, there was a particular recording or statement that was credited to Ahmadu Bello. Okay. One Ahmadu Bello, that he had that particular, script, 12 days or 11 days after our independence in 1960. Precisely on October 12th, 1960. He made a very copious and inciting, statement in one of the occasions he attended. I might not, quote him verbatim.
Okay, but you can rephrase.
But I can rephrase. He was referring to Nigeria as an estate of their grandfather or great-grandfather, Uthman Danfodio. He was referring, he made that statement, categorical statement. That is about, many years ago, I was not even born as at that time, 1960, as the case may be. He made such a scathing statement, referring to Nigeria as, the estate, the estate of the great-grandfather. That particular, went viral, and, people, scholars have not been able to say, no, that is not true. He never made such statement as case may be. So that tells you that there's a particular belief that this particular entity, belongs to a particular set of people. Okay. Then too, as at that period too, that was when Awolowo even said Nigeria was a geographical expression. That was by independence. You understand the point now? You could understand about Awolowo, he never incited people. Now, coming back to what is happening here, Muhammadu Buhari made such scathing statements and outbursts. Nothing happened to him. You know, you had people.
People were killed. People were slaughtered.
People
were murdered.
We periscoped that particular statement.
Elections.
As at that time, nobody came out to say, let them even begin to look at this man, you know, and see if they can invite him. Nobody did invite him. El-Rufai came again and said, body bags should be taken. It is a statement recorded against them. They have not come to say no or refute those particular statements or rebut those particular, you know, quotes, you know, that is ascribed to them. But nobody invited him, even when he was governor. He had immunity. After being governor, he does not have the immunity now. The DSS has not invited him. Let me tell you that you find out that Nnamdi Kanu that is today being tried, you know, in Nigeria, in the gulags, all over Nigeria today, what did he do? He only made statements somewhere. And before you knew what was going on, they went for him. And they believe that he was trying to contradict, you know, section, you know, 2 sub 1 of the 1999 Constitution that says that Nigeria is indivisible and indissoluble. You understand the point now? He went far away England. He was there far away Kenya. They wanted to extradite him back to Nigeria here because he made a statement which they felt was inciting. But this is somebody who was living with us before he died, who made inciting statements. People were killed. People were massacred. Nothing happened to him. And El-Rufai, I have nothing against them. And El-Rufai made a similar statement in that election of 2019, talking about body bags. And in fact, a lot of people lost their lives in Kaduna and the rest of them through religious wars and whatever as case may be, internecine wars in Kaduna. Nothing happened, as the case may be. Nobody tried him. If you look at the case of Simon Ekpa again, I am not directly saying I'm supporting what these people are agitating for. But the statement created to Simon Ekpa was, you know, a statement that was he made somewhere. And it was profiled as a threat to Nigeria. And the Nigerian government everything to make sure that either they extradite him or try him, you know, there, as case may be. The big question we are asking today is that why are these people from a particular set or section of the country who make incendiary statements, outbursts of this nature, are not called to question? We are not saying that they should be arrested, but we are saying that the DSS, security agencies, should invite them and say, we don't understand what you mean, okay? We want to know exactly why you people keep repeating this every election cycle. Buhari made his own, El-Rufai made his own, now you are making your own Hakeem Baba-Ahmed. He does not have immunity. Why have they not invited him? These are questions that needs a lot of answers. I don't know where we are going to get it from.
Okay, now, Barrister, there's something I want us to establish before we go forward. These threats that are made, are they actionable? Can someone go to court and say, look, you have made a threat on people's lives, and it shouldn't be, you should be prosecuted? Is it actionable?
See, under our Electoral Act,
okay,
when you incite people to violence or violent tendencies during election or before elections, it's an actionable, it's a criminal offense.
Okay.
You know, incitement is a criminal offense. Death threats, when you begin to talk about crisis, that it will be cataclysmic. When you mean cataclysmic result, mean that you cannot even estimate, you understand, how destructive it's going to be. And you make some statements. Nobody is saying anything about it. It's so sad. So in the Electoral Act, as I speak, if you want to incite, you know, people, violence on that day of election, before the election and after the election, it's a criminal offense.
Okay.
Under our criminal code, that by you coming out to speak, language of this nature is, incitement, as the case may be. And when you begin to incite people, because there are people who look up to you as a leader.
Okay.
And those people might be microscopic few. But those people can come out today and, say, my leader said.
And they'll get into action.
They act on those particular decisions. The platter I'm asking is this. Okay. People making such incendiary statements. Why have they not been called for question? Why is it that Nnamdi Kanu outside Nigeria who made a statement that is inciting to them, Nigeria spent billions of naira to bring him back to Nigeria to begin to try him as case may be? See, it's so sad in my own estimation. I'm not trying to say that I'm against those people, but you wake up because of election, say, if election does not go well, you are going to do this. It then means that INEC has to conduct the election to their whims and caprices. So even if INEC, at that point in time, do an election that is free and fair, if it is not, satisfactory to this group, it means that they can incite.
Okay.
You understand the point? And so it's subjective, statement and very inciting.
Now, Barrister, we'll get into all of that. From what you have said, now it looks like we are harboring sacred cows because it goes beyond incitement. The other day you were here, you talked about the men's race and the actus reus, which is one is have the mental and the physical put together, because beyond these threats, the people have also gone ahead to murder Nigerians. So it looks like we are harboring sacred cows. And now we even see government officials hobnobbing with terrorists and criminals and all of that. And nobody is brought to book. People in government, nobody's career is damaged. If we allow all of these things to happen, we are talking about strengthening our legal system, the criminal justice system, our jurisprudence, and all of that. If we allow these things to pass by without people taking action, without the government acting on it, how then do we strengthen our legal system, criminal justice, our jurisprudence? Are we making progress or are we going backwards?
We are going backwards, when we talk about criminal jurisprudence. Nigeria has two criminal systems.
Okay.
The Penal Code and the Criminal Code Act. One operates in the south, one operates in the north. So when you are in the north, for instance, what happens is that an offense or something that may be an offense there may not be an offense in the southern part of Nigeria. So you go to maybe Kano, for instance, you are being held for drinking on the street. Let me use that word, open and close now. You are being held, on the street, or maybe in a beer or a restaurant where you are taking your, alcoholic beverage, as the case may be. This is criminalized. And you go there, they prosecute you. But in the southern part, it does not happen. So it means we have two divides, in our criminal justice system, which is, for me, an aberration. Okay. I believe that Nigeria, as a nation, a secular nation, by virtue of Section 10 of the 1999 Constitution, we should practice one unity, form of a law and government and governance, as the case may be. Now, when you now have the penal code, you now have a certain area again where the Constitution, now gives certain part of Nigeria to practice Sharia if they want to do that. Okay. Then the other side, there's nothing like Christianity. So if I want to form a Christian like a Kano state today in the southern part of Nigeria, I cannot do it. Because the law does not allow me to do it. But the law gives Sharia people to do whatever they want to do in the northern part of Nigeria. As we have two justice systems in Nigeria, and which is, for me, unfortunate.
Doesn't that look like deepening federalism, where states have the right to make laws for themselves? Because, if you go back to United States, abortion is a crime in one state. It is not a crime. It's recognized in another state. So if you have two penal codes in Nigeria, like you rightly pointed out, doesn't it look like we are trying to deepen the federalism? And also understand, you might have to explain so that our viewers will understand, why is it that we have what we call laws of the federation and laws of Lagos State? Why that difference? What does that mean? In
that particular instance, that is the law I wanted to operate. I wanted the kind of laws to have the federal laws and the state laws.
But we have the laws of Lagos State.
Good, you have laws of Lagos State. Okay. You can have a law made by the House of Assembly of your state. That's why you have your houses of assembly that do make laws for you. Okay. Criminal laws also, you have a committee that will come up and do criminal justice system in Lagos City. Okay. But my difference here is that this particular, even in the US, the difference in law application is not based on religion or ethno-religious, affiliation. Okay. For instance, the Sharia code is a religious code. The Sharia is, let us not forget, Sharia is a religious code of the Islamic. You understand? So when you now form or do a law that comes under Sharia, you understand? In a state you call secular in section, described in section 10, it means that if I go to that particular area and I have to be and behave as those Muslims who are under that Sharia law, operate. Otherwise, I'll be found wanting. It does not happen in the US that way. So their own laws, even though they have the federal and state laws and whatever as case may be, or even local government have what they call bylaws. As case may be, they can make their laws, bylaws for market etc. and running of the local government. That is acceptable. But it's not based on religious or ethnic affiliation. Okay. That you now create that. That is what I'm trying to say. That if you now create, a law that is religious based or that emanates from your religious affiliation, how does it now affect the person in a federation or in a federal, entity like we have in Nigeria? Now, if, for instance, let me give an example. If a state like Enugu State want to establish a Christian state in Enugu, you are going to see uproar. The House of Assembly of that state might not even have the enabling law to carry out. But under our constitution, the state of Kanu and Zamfara and their House of Assembly has the enabling law that gives them the power to churn out laws in accordance with Sharia and the Islamic codes. You understand the point? That is why you find out that in Zamfara state, they said they are practicing Sharia. In Kano state, they said they are practicing Sharia. The constitution does not know a particular entity or contraption they call the Hizbah. The Hizbah is called the Sharia police, as the case may be. It is different from Amotekun. And Amotekun is, because of the exigency of security, etc., formed and given vent by the people, not based on religious, belief and suasions, as the case may be. As I speak with you, there are offenses you commit in part of Nigeria today, your arm will be chopped off based on a particular religious Sharia code. So what I'm saying is that when you have two divisions in that particular nature, it becomes a problem. That is why you see we're having this kind of a problem. For instance, you'll be very surprised and shocked that the reason why this outburst coming from the people for the northern part, let me be direct, for the leaders for the northern part, why it is good, maybe incitement under their law might not be punishable. So they can hide under that cloak and do what. I'm just giving for an example.
For instance,
maybe that is why they can wake up in the morning and just do whatever they like, and they feel that they have not breached the law. But to us here, we feel it's a threat, as the case may be. Now, if you look at what the second aspect of why you find that we're having this kind of infamy and destructive political leadership and policies, is because of the fact that I have postulated before now that Nigeria does not practice democracy. Nigeria at best can be described as a plutocratic, amalgam. Now, if you look at it now, the people who periscope and make this outburst are bourgeois. They are big people, proletariats. They are powerful. They are humongous powers, monumental affluence, as the case may be, self-aggrandizement. They act with Nestorian braggadocio. They know that in the way they are looking and sitting, is that when they make a statement, nobody dare challenge them.
So more like they are sacred cows.
They are sacred cows.
Above the law.
They are feudal lords. They are the bourgeois. They are the untouchables. You understand? Whereas if an ordinary man like me, so encased in this capsule, as a very diminutive, man, if I make such statement, I'll be termed the enemy of the state.
Anyway, Barrister, you are not diminutive anyway. So let's leave the legality of it and get into the politics. Now, I'm happy that we have established the fact that all these threats are coming from one section of the country, which is northern Nigeria.
That's right.
Now, why is it convenient for the North to always blame the South? I mean, Buhari, for 8 years, Buhari was in government. And the North didn't, there was no attack. And the North kept quiet. Just 2 years of the Tinubu administration.
Yes.
And in fact, what Buhari did was to reverse the gains, that the PDP made in 16 years.
Yes.
And within 8 years, he reversed everything. Talk about inflation, talk about GDP growth, talk about foreign reserves, and everything went down. And just in 2 years of Tinubu administration, the North seems to have forgotten everything that went down under Buhari. And now they are kicking. Look, we want power back. We want the power to come back to the North. Why is it that the North is always jittery when they are out of power? And does it does appear that they are overly oppressing the South? And why does the South take in all of this without reacting like Northerners?
You see, when the Baron Stanley Montesquieu propounded three, arms of government, as the case may be, a certain Yusuf Maitama Sule. He was a diplomat. He was an archetypical bourgeois, with feudal and regimental, encasement. It's called Yusuf Maitama Sule.
Yes.
Dan something Kano.
Yes.
You understand? Now, what that young man, that old man is late, that is 1929 to 2017. He's late now. May his soul rest in peace. But he propounded the theory of, specialization, ethnic, and tribal specialization. He gave it 3, chambers. That the Hausa, Fulani, ethnic stock, they are gifted with leadership and rulership. Do you understand? They are gifted to rule. That is what God created them to do. He now said the Yorubas of the southwestern part of Nigeria are gifted with entrepreneurial spirit. They are good in entrepreneurial, whatever business as the case may be. Okay. He now said the Igbos of the southeast and the south are gifted by the Almighty Lord to do trading. Are you getting my point? This I am quoting copiously and studiously from articles that he wrote, memoirs. I am not saying I'm talking in verbiage and verbose manner. I am saying that these are scripted, just like the Bible. When you say James chapter this, what is there. He's staring you in the face like the rock of Gibraltar. He made this postulation years back. And then I was younger. I listened to him on national television. I bled and wept. I was gnashing my teeth. I said, how can a man sit down? And he went further to do a breakdown of this postulation, these 3, kind of module he brought, and said that the Hausa Fulanis are good at ruling politically. That is, anything that has to do with rulership, leadership, politics should be led for the Hausa Fulani, because that is what God gave to them. That if you watch and go around the country, you see that the Yorubas are good entrepreneurs. Okay. That the Yoruba women, they go everywhere to trade and etc. Then the Igbos are for whatever trading. Now, let me tell you, what does that mean? And that's the philosophy they've had. The philosophy is that postulation was a direct, tributary, if not confluence, of the opinion poll of the founder or the father of northern Nigeria, Ahmadu Bello, who said that let Nigeria be the estate of his forefathers, quoted on history. Now, so they draw their strength. So you find that when the man postulated, it means that anything that has to do with election, that has to do with head of state or president of Nigeria, you understand the point now? It is the duty of the Hausa Fulani to produce. It will also interest you that Nigeria has had 15 or thereabout, heads of state, president, as case may be. Okay. And many of them are from the north. Out of the 15, you understand the point now? Even during the military era, as the case may be, those who were famous for coup and all those, when we hear the song of coup, we just say, oh, it's going to be announced, somebody from that side that is going to make it, maybe be the head of state. Apart from Olusegun Obasanjo, Murtala Muhammad that came up, he was from that side too. OBJ was from the southern part of Nigeria, as the case may be. We never had any other this. Someone happened to Gideon Oka as the rest, even in Middle Belt when they come up and the rest. But thereafter, we thought there will be no coup again until Abacha now came. Another man from that northern stock, as the case may be, from Babangida to Abacha. But Abacha was to handed over again to a stock man and his ethnic tribe man from the same side, as the case may be. Right. We are not trying to profile ethnicity here, but giving the historical periscope of what has happened in Nigeria. So they feel that it is like that. So you find that was why you see the president as at that time, because a lot of people make jest of him. But as at that time, even though I didn't vote for him, I looked at the president and said, oh, this man, has said something that touched my heart. Emiloko, it's my turn. He might not be talking to Buhari directly. He might be talking to Nigerians in general. That look, maybe he has gone through the historical parts of presidents in Nigeria, and I felt that he's from he's skewed against a particular area. Okay,
now, Barrister, in all of this, I want us to interrogate the value of what they are postulating, that they were born to rule. For 64 years of Nigeria's independence, the North has occupied it for 46 years. And if you look at the economic indices, in everything, in terms of poverty, Human Development Index, out of school children, insecurity, the North still post figures that look down south. And meaning that, look, in everything, they are still the poorest of the poor. So of what value is this power to them? And And why is it difficult for the North? Don't they have a middle class to change all of this? And I keep going back to this question. Why is it difficult for the South to come together and push back these sentiments? We have seen it happen. You know, it happened under Jonathan. And before us, it's happening again. And nobody is saying that, look, we need to fight in all of this. But why is it convenient for the North to lord it over the South? And the South keeps quiet. Why can't there be some kind of unity, you know, between the North, between the Southeast, South-South, and Southwest to say, look, enough of this. The North was primed for 8 years. They did it 8 years under Buhari. And now just 4 years of Tinubu. And they want to take it back. Why should that be? Why should it happen? And why is more like the South silent on all of this?
First of all, let me talk about the poverty you talk about in the North, even though they've been in power. You understand? You may be in power and you are very poor. You understand? You know, when they say poverty is not having money or not having money, as the case may be, there's a reason for that. Okay. Then two, is that if you go through, you know, the thesis or book written by Dante Alighieri, you know, he's a canon poet. You understand? Dante Alighieri, you know, talks about, you know, the 7 layers of hell, you know, as the case may be. That is what the North, you know, in my own opinion, is passing through. He talks about the purgatorio and, you know, talk about, you know, the paradiso. Okay. You understand? Purgatorio and paradiso.
Purgatorio and paradise.
You know, so you find that we will look at it as if, oh, the paradise has come very close to the North because they have power. So they are going to get everything. But the more they struggle to do that, the more they are having problems with the purgatoria, whatever. Missing for there and poverty will hold them, as case may be. So I liken that situation in the North to that particular area. Then two, is that the northern part of Nigeria has been held bound, you know, by what I call, you know, the Sisyphean syndrome. You know, these are, you know, philosophical, whatever I'm going into, jargons, yeah. As the case may be. Then you now have the other syndrome that is disturbing them, where you find out that a particular armed robber or a particular man who has held you, you know, down, stunted your growth, you can't even move. You depend on him for everything. He has brought ruination to your country and your nation, but you cannot rise up against him because you feel that each time he comes, you look up to him for feeding and food, for survival, okay, as the case may be. So that is the situation you find out. It's called the Stockholm syndrome. You know, you've heard about the Stockholm syndrome, as the case may be. Now, the northern, you know, followers see people like Buhari, Rufai, who have been oppressing them and made the region very poor. The average northern man does not see region being poor. He sees his region as, oh, even if I'm hungry, let me have power. Let my brother or let my religious man be in power. I'm satisfied. Even if he does not, you know, construct road, he does not bring good health care, he does not bring water, education, etc., there is no problem. That is why they are suffering and they have been in that palpable, you know, poverty-stricken level, for my own explanation. Then the southern part, why are we termagant? Why are we so acquiescent when it comes to, you know, coming together as a united module? Why is it like that? The reason is because of the fact that in the southern part of Nigeria, we have very transactional and prescriptive politicians and leaders. Our leaders are people they call stomach infrastructure political leaders in the south here. They enter politics just for the sake of representation, but not for the sake of having a stake, you know, in the polity. As guess, that is why we have them there. There are so many. Now, why is it that the question I've asked in this on this studio and other fora have been is that when Buhari was 8 years hellish government, there was no coalition. There was no coalition that could bring in a P2B, that could bring in, you know, maybe an Erufai, that could bring in Odigi Oyegun, that could bring in the people that we are having now coalescing into one module. Why was it like that? You find that the reason is not far-fetched. As at that time, our southern leaders who should have stood up against hunger and poverty, debilitating one for that matter, were colluding with the government of the day. It is in this particular state or Nigeria that somebody somewhere here said he's building railway from Lagos or whatever to Maradi. You understand? Whereas the whole conurbation and the state where it comes to that is closer, there is no railway, going to that particular place. You can see the mentality. So if you now say you are constructing a railroad of about 2,000 kilometers from the center of economic activity, you go all the way to Maradi in Niger Republic because you want to satisfy a particular politician who is your godfather. But you never did one to the southeast where you are from. You never did one or connecting one to the south where you are from. There is no northern politician that will be in power in that position that we do what that particular minister did.
Okay, so essentially,
so they are prescriptive and transactional.
So that is what happened, because
that's right.
If you recall, the last time there was a coalition in this country,
yes,
was in 2014.
In 2014 to take out Jonathan.
And like you said, for 8 years there was no coalition against Buhari. And unfortunately, curiously, the 2014 coalition was even headed by Southerners.
It was
talking
Southerners.
about the sitting president.
The same people are the people who are forming. The same people from the south who are forming against their southern person or brother or leader. I'm not a Tinubu supporter, but what I'm saying is that it has come to a point in Nigeria that we have to open our eyes. The same people who are fronting the particular coalition today, are they so people that coalesce against Jonathan, that form an amalgam against Jonathan, remove Jonathan from government? In fact, not even removing him, because Jonathan cried. He just said, "I don't want to go the normal way." Okay. They scared him out of government, and he left. But today we are regretting it.
Okay. Now, Barrister, let's talk about this. The idea. What even brought Hakeem Baba-Ahmed to say this? He says, "Look, that there are plans to rig the 2027 election. And one of such plans is that, look, the National Assembly is trying to make a law that all the 5 sets of elections, talk about the presidency, National Assembly, Senate and House of Representatives, the governorship and the House of Assembly will be conducted in one day." Are you for or against that law? And what will be the points of disagreement? If you do disagree with that law.
when it's working on presumptions,
okay,
it is a bill according to him.
Okay.
Now, if you are to do whatever, you are to sensitize. There are ways. It's a democracy. Okay. If you don't want a bill to go through, you act as a filibuster. A very influential man like that can set up a group, not threatening us, but can set up a group of scholars.
No. I understand why he said that. Yes. No, my question is this.
Yes, okay.
You as an individual, as an analyst, as a lawyer, as a political player,
okay,
do you buy into the idea that elections should be conducted in one day?
I don't. Okay,
so
I don't.
So why?
The reason are not far-fetched.
Okay.
Even when local government elections, one is going to take place in Rivers State very soon now. The people who are contesting in that election, they are not up to 2,000. If you put everybody, maybe the candidates, they are not up to 2,000 or the various political parties. But you will be very surprised that the research cannot manage them. Voter party number 1, number 2, voting materials will arrive late, incidences of beavers not working, as the case may be. So, for instance, if the presidential election that had only presidents, that is the president and the House of Reps, etc., and Senate as the election of the day, INEC could not properly mobilize. There were no voting materials in some areas. Where they came late. The incident form was used because the beavers or electronic voting machine was not working. When results now came out, to upload results became a problem, as the case may be. So you find that if you now say all elections, both governorship, etc., INEC will have too much on its plate.
Okay.
So for me, I do not think that is feasible. So the way they have made it, the way governor, president broke down and whatever, is okay by us. But if we have transparency, then all these things will be nothingness.
As a matter of fact, the process of mobilizing for a presidential election is the same process for mobilizing for the governorship.
That's right.
So what will be the difference?
The difference is,
if you are mobilizing for one, why don't you do the same thing together? That is the argument some people are putting up.
The capacity of INEC conducting the election.
No, exactly their point.
Yes.
So if it takes INEC like the logistics required to
Yes.
conduct presidential elections.
Yes.
So why is it difficult for them to say, okay, it's just about, people say it's just about balloting. The ballot box, the ballot sheets. When an electorate walks into your place, you accredit him into the unit, you accredit him, give him papers and all of that. And you just issue him 5. He votes for the president, votes for the governor, the senator, the House of Representatives, and House of Assembly. And collation is done seamlessly, singularly, instead of having to remobilize after 2 weeks. Soldiers or police that conducted elections will have to go back to base and go back again. And Nigerians are saying, this thing costs a lot of money, so why don't we do it once?
There was a time in this country we did what they call option A4.
Okay.
Is it not so? They say you queue behind your candidate. What happened to that particular model? And how did they work? Now, that is number one. Number two is this. Why I'm still against it, I still talking about INEC not being able to do all this election. Forget about the argument. Forget about the fine lines of the argument by sophists who use clever arguments to establish faulty foundations. We have found out that in Nigeria here, as the case may be, now elections are staggered because INEC can prepare for it, very well, effectively well. Logistics are given to them. Whether you lump it together or you stagger the election, if you do not have a credible INEC, you will still go to zero. So what I'm trying to say is that it is not whether staggered elections or election compact together that we bring, credible election. It makes no sense.
Okay.
Credible election, credibility of election is the process itself. If you even say you want to do all the election, both local government, chairman, etc., as case may be, and you have an INEC that is compromised, it will still come out with the same result. So our problem is not about whether the elections are staggered or the elections are done in one day. Our problem is the way and manner we conduct our election and INEC being part of that particular election.
Okay, process. So when you say that, more like it's a human factor.
Yes.
Because you are saying that whether it is staggered or not, it boils down on the credibility of INEC. So when we talk about rejigging or reforming the electoral system, is it because the laws are not good, or is it because the operators are not doing the right thing?
Both.
Okay, so but which one will you prefer first?
Both. For me, I want us to have, first of all, credible people in government.
Okay.
Now, if the process of choosing an INEC commissioner of a state, for instance, or the national body, national INEC, is not done by the state governor, it's not done by the president. It is the president or chairman of INEC national is selected by the political parties in Nigeria. So what does that mean? You tell us that is the brief or right of getting who pretend the INEC national is done by PDP, APC, and all the political parties in Nigeria without any input from the president or government, as the case may be. They can even go and employ foreign bodies to come and do whatever for them.
Okay.
If you leave that particular whatever with them and they fund, elections, because part of the political process is that all of them must come together to activate the political process. But when you leave the government to choose who becomes the INEC chairman, you leave the state governors to now make an announcement to say they are to do what they can, RISEC or the CX. They are the ones to appoint those who will be head of those things. You can never have a smooth playing ground. But when the political parties now come together, have you imagined a situation where the NBA, the NMA, NUJ, political parties coming to say, okay, we want to elect who is going to be the chairman of INEC in Nigeria today? They are going to elect somebody that is, they know is credible, which is going to be against what we have now, where the president can wake up in the morning and superimpose a chairman of INEC. He will just choose one jega somewhere. As I say, a professor of one thing in the University of Port Harcourt, he makes him an INEC chairman. And we have to kill hook, line, and sink and follow what the president has said. We didn't make any input to it. No political party made any input to it. The integrity and credibility of the person chosen by the president is only known to the president and not us. So these are the things we look at. But the political parties and NGOs and the CSOs and whatever the case may be When they want to choose, they know exactly, who and where they're going to get the person they need. If you get a man like Showore together, you have Falana in one other angle, you have leaders of political parties, P2B, etc., who are leaders of political parties, coming to do an election or selection, or maybe appointing who to be the INEC chairman. There's not going to be, I don't think, even if it's going to be any play whatever there, it's going to be very, very minimal, as the case may be. So this is the problem we are having. Then two, the laws. Because if the laws are porous, statesmen will build the law and solve that particular law for it to be effective. They might not look at the loopholes, they do what they need to do. American system, as the case may be, which we follow, there are laws that, men can never break them. Not that they cannot break them. Donald Trump wanted to do something like that to break the, no law in America. You saw the reaction from people, as the case may be. So the laws are there. If you have laws, because they say laws are made for men and not men made for law, as the case may be. But in the Nigerian context, as we look at it today, if you have some laws, no matter how weak they are, but the people who are implementing and executing those laws say, no, we are going to follow it to the letter, I tell you that law will be very strong, as the case may be.
Okay.
So now, if you look at, I want to give for an example, presumption of innocence of a suspect is the same all over the world. That when you arrest somebody, he is presumed innocent. Is it also?
Until found guilty.
Until found, it is like
by
that.
The law, by the court.
It's like that all over the way, all over the world. You find that in other crimes, when a man is arrested, he is given the opportunity to express himself, to do everything because he's presumed innocent. But in Nigeria here, the institutions will look at the man and say they have arrested him, they will flash his picture, what they call mugshot, in the newspapers and social media, and begin to put handcuffs in his hand and throw him into the gulag. He spends about 7 days there. You understand? Before you know, he goes to ATM. But you said he's presumed innocent or he's proven guilty. The prison where you sent him to is the final resting place for criminals. As
right. Now, Barrister, we are almost out of time. We are coasting home. Before we leave, I'd like for you to chime in on. You are a member of the obedient movement, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what is the position of your principal now? Where is he? Is he in the Labour Party, in the ADC, or is he going back to PDP? What's the position now?
P2B made it very clear, because I don't know why people are looking at only P2B as the only. Atiku Abubakar is a PDP member, is there. El-Rufai is an APC member.
Atiku has left PDP.
He has left PDP, just left recently.
Okay.
Even El-Rufai, the party SDP suspended him for 30 years. I don't know what they did to him. Okay. Why are they periscoping only Obi in this particular instance? The man has said.
So what does that tell you?
Yeah, that tells you that
about the spotlight to be received.
The kind of spotlight he receives. That in our consciousness, this is the man we need. But those who determine what happens in Nigeria do not want him to come. Now let me tell you, and let's reiterate again. What P2B has said is that, look, I am a member of Labour Party. He has said so. Even quite recently, he made that particular announcement to the whole world. And everybody listened to him. And he said the reason why he's in the coalition is because that is what all of them agreed. That is both Labour Party, the other PDP, as well. That was what all of them agreed, to come and form a coalition to take out a bad government. It's like an emergency situation. Now you have a snake in your house. You need to go and call your neighbor if it's too big for you to take, to come and join you to kill that snake and take the snake out of your house. When you now take that snake out of your house, you can now begin to congratulate and tell, thank you for coming to help me or rescue me, as case may be. Not when the snake is inside there, you begin to look at, what the politics and the rest of it. The snake will lie down there and even bite you if you don't want to go outside and look. So P2B is looking for ways. He is very intelligent. People don't know that P2B has intelligence. He is the only politician in Nigeria today that has been tried and tested. Every time you ask a P2B question, he has an answer to it. Now, what does that mean? It is not those that you go and ask questions. They say, please go and ask my special advisor. P2B will tell you this is the reason why he wants to be in government. I have read the manifesto of P2B, and I found that he is the only politician I dare challenge any other politician to bring up his own personal manifesto. Obi has a conscious effort, what he called the roadmap to greatness of Nigeria. So why would Nigerians give him a chance? Why do they need to pull him every time? He comes out, they want to denigrate him. He speaks. They want to tell you it's not somebody that should be there.
Okay, talking
so
about
sad.
denigrating him, the last thing we heard was that he has been appointed the National Organizing Secretary of the ADC. Did you hear that?
I did have not. It has not come to us openly.
Anyway, but his media, the P2B media outreach has debunked that story.
That is it. Because see, let me tell you. See, I see P2B. Let me tell you, for instance, Atiku has been moving up and down in Nigeria. For the past 1 month, P2B has spent close to 100 million.
Okay.
Distributing to indigent students, to healthcare centers, etc. No Nigerian
we are out of time.
So it's so sad.
We are out of time. But before we leave, can you use 30 seconds, to give your concluding thoughts on the fact that a certain group of people are threatening, to make the country ungovernable if the elections are rigged? Should the elections be rigged in the first place?
Elections should not be rigged.
Okay.
But that is not a yardstick for people to threaten, brimstone or whatever as case may be. The Nigeria Security Agency should go after whoever says that they will make the country ungovernable the same way they went for Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya to bring him back to Nigeria and begin to try him.
All right.
There are no sacred cows and, we don't have plutocrats who are coming to dictate to us. They should go after them and arrest them or even invite them. So this is just the take I have today.
All right. Now, this would be a good place to end this conversation. Many thanks to you, Barrister Asim Adams, for coming to Political
Thank you so much.
We always appreciate your presence.
God
And I hope, like I normally say, we can do this some other time.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
bless
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Thank you very
now, on
much.
behalf of the backroom staff, talking about the technical director, Victor Igris, the bus manager, engineer Hassan, sound engineer Jerry, and the ingest manager, Alex Scott. I am Chukwuma Okoro, and up next is Issues with Jerry Apollo High. Stay with us and don't go away.